I told my in-laws to get a job. My husband's parents showed up at our place last year asking if they could crash for a couple weeks. Their landlord was being a complete ass and wasn't fixing their heating, so they needed somewhere warm to stay while they figured things out. I felt bad for them, honestly. It was December and freezing cold outside. 2 weeks turned into 6 months real quick. They set up camp in our living room with their air mattress and started treating our house like their personal hotel. His mom would sleep until noon every day while I was getting ready for work. She'd shuffle to the kitchen in her pajamas and complain that we didn't have the right coffee creamer or that our Wi-Fi was too slow for her shows. His dad wasn't any better. He'd sit on our couch all day watching those weird conspiracy theory videos on YouTube with the volume cranked up. I work from home 3 days a week and couldn't focus on anything with him yelling at the TV about lizard people or whatever. The worst part was dinner time. They expected me to cook for 4 people every single night but never offered to help or buy groceries. I'd come home exhausted from work and his mom would be like, "Oh, good, you're home, I'm starving, what's for dinner?" Meanwhile, she spent the whole day doing absolutely nothing. I started keeping track of our grocery bill and it literally doubled. They were eating us out of house and home. His dad would finish entire boxes of cereal for breakfast and his mom would make these huge sandwiches with like half a loaf of bread. When I brought it up to my husband, he just shrugged and said, "They're going through a tough time, we need to be patient." But patient for what exactly? Neither of them were even looking for jobs. They weren't apartment hunting. They weren't doing anything except making our lives miserable. The breaking point was when I found his mom going through our mail. She was sitting at our kitchen table with our bank statements spread out looking at our account balances. When I asked what she was doing, she said she was just curious about how much we made and if we could afford to help them out with some expenses. I lost it. I told her that was completely inappropriate and she needed to mind her own business. She started crying and saying I was being mean to her and that family should stick together. Then his dad came in and started yelling at me for making his wife cry. That night I told my husband they needed to go. He said I was being heartless, but I didn't care anymore. I was done subsidizing 2 grown adults who refused to take care of themselves. The next morning I waited until my husband left for work and then I sat them both down. I told them they had exactly 1 week to find jobs and start contributing to the household or they had to leave. His mom started with the waterworks again, saying I was tearing the family apart. I cut her off and said, "Look, you're both healthy adults who can work. There's a McDonald's down the street that's hiring. There's a grocery store that needs stockers. I don't care what you do, but you need to start paying your way or get out." His dad got all red in the face and started screaming about how disrespectful I was. He said back in his day, women knew their place and didn't talk to elders like that. I laughed right in his face and told him back in his day, people also got jobs instead of mooching off their kids. By the end of the week, they still hadn't applied anywhere. His mom kept making excuses about how her back hurt and she couldn't stand for long periods. His dad said all the jobs were beneath him because he used to be a supervisor somewhere like 20 years ago. I gave them their eviction notice on a Sunday morning. I told them they had until Friday to pack up and leave. My husband was furious, but I didn't back down. I said they made their choice and now they had to live with it. They ended up moving in with his sister who lives across town. She called me screaming about how I dumped them on her doorstep. I told her welcome to the club and hung up.